Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've been on the air, and I truly apologize to everybody. I have a guest with me, Ambika Devi.
Ambika Devi.
I told you, I knew I was gonna mess it up somehow.
Well, I think you programmed yourself, Kath. It's okay,
Always.
but it's not, you know what? It's different because in English, we're used to stressing the second syllable. This is not English. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There
Don't worry about it. It's just Ambika. Let's not try to do the whole name.
What are you doing tonight?
How am I? I'm doing awesome. I know, like, it's really silly to express something about the weather, but it was really hot today. And there's a local fish market that has salmon day on Wednesday. So sometimes I get the craving, and I went in there, and you would think a fish market would feel cool, right?
Right.
Because they have ice and coolers, and these guys were really hot. And I talked them into getting like a laundry basket full of ice and putting a fan behind it. And they're standing there going, "Wow, this is actually working."
Yeah.
And I said this to you while we were in the green room. I am the solver of problems.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Just try, just try me. Hopefully we'll get some people who come and join us tonight and ask some great questions.
Hey, Willie, how's it going? Thank you so much for donating, and it's good to have you here. As always, just put your question down in the thing below, and when we do get to the questions, you will be first. Actually, it was funny because, mentioning that when we go to Universal Studios, so my son and I, we love LA. We're going to head down there this summer again, and one of the things that we really like are the big fans that blow the really cold air and like ice almost on you. It's like misty. We'll stand there for like a good 15 minutes and just be like, oh, thank God.
Well, yes, when you go on the summertime. But what? You're going to Universal? I want to come meet you there.
Yeah, no. Are you in LA? Are you in LA?
Oh, you're LA. You're going in. No.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna go to Orlando this year.
Oh, okay.
Really
It was Orlando, I was thinking.
Yeah, we haven't planned out the exact trip. We know when we're going, but we're still in that place of, okay, are we gonna do Universal Studios are we gonna go Orlando or are we gonna go LA? We both love LA, and I love driving, to LA, to be honest. And it's yeah, so it's kind of exciting, but I'm looking forward to it. Are you in Florida? So I just want to ask you.
I am. I'm on what's called the Treasure Coast. It's on the East Coast. Okay. So it's a long state, right? And I'm a couple hours north of Miami.
Okay. All right. Are you in like alligator country down there?
Alligators. Well, I have alligators in the back. Yeah. I live in a wild preserve.
Okay.
So I've got squirrels, bunnies. There's rats, but I'm not a rodent racist. So and yes, we have cats. We have big cats, bobcats, panthers, and alligators.
See, I would love that. That would be my environment, because, well, I'm not a rodent racist either, because I actually feed my great big rats that are about this big.
Right. Right. I mean, you've got to figure it's part of the food chain, and actually they're quite smart. Just recently, a bit of forest was wiped out to put in luxury homes. Why not? Right. And as nearby, I live in a wild preserve. I bought this house because I wanted that protection and that wildlife around me. And when they wiped out a couple areas nearby, there's some development. It was in the plans for a long time. It's not like it was a shocker, but of course, you drive by a place, there's forest, the next day there's nothing. It kind of freaks you out. So I started feeding, putting some seed, wild seed for all the little creatures. And so I thought, well, let's get Pavlovian from the start. And I whistled the Harry Potter theme song and then put it out. And man, the rats are the smartest.
Oh yeah.
They're the rats, blue jays, and a couple squirrels. I was telling a friend of mine about this and squirrels, and he said, "Wow, squirrels freak me out." And I said, "Really? Why?"
Nice.
And he said, "They're the punk rockers of the rodent world." They can get a little intense if they want to be.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to a park where the squirrels are used to being fed by patrons, they can, come up and be pretty grabby and demanding. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the wildlife food chain, and I really love it. But today was a hot one. I mean, but
Yeah.
it is July, and July, that's what they call the dog days of summer. You've heard that, right?
Oh,
Dog days.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know why? Do you know how we got that name?
How?
Here's me being an astrologer and an Uber
Okay.
nerd.
Tell me.
The dog star Sirius is in the sky in the hot months in the northern hemisphere.
Oh,
So it's very
okay.
present dog days.
So that's like I see now. I completely 100% just learned something because I never ever in 100% would have even guessed on that being the reason for it. So that's really interesting. That's really
Uh-huh.
interesting. Okay, let's talk about astrology for a little bit. So you are an astrologist, right? You're
I
also an author
absolutely am.
too.
But not just a sundry, I read a few books
Yeah,
astrologer. I went
yeah.
to college for it. I went to university for it. And I have a degree in Western tropical astrology, which utilizes the the Greco-Roman mythologies and tropical time. So if we think of astrology as a timekeeper or a calendar keeper or a clock, even,
Mhm.
there's the whole debate about which time system is better, right?
Right.
Sidereal or tropical. Let me just demystify that really quickly. Sidereal is measuring things from our perspective view on Earth, looking out towards the great attractor and the movement of everything in space, of what we can see or what we believe we can see and measure. Tropical time uses uh, the equinoxes and the solstices
Okay.
as points, as axis points. And for me, from the perspective of Earth, that makes perfect sense. I'm measuring things from Earth, so I like using tropical time. Now, I've been in panels and debates about which is better, which I think is crazy because I know some of you are squirming around. You want to hear what I'm about to say. But the thing is, everybody, that I don't care which system you use as long as you're accurate.
Right. Right. Of
So
course.
if I find I can read both, I'm trained. I 10 years of intense training in
Yeah.
Jyotish, which is what people call Vedic astrology. And that uses the sidereal timing, but also there is a group of Vedic style astrologers using all of that mythology, using tropical time. That's also a thing. And so it doesn't matter. I could tell you the stories either way. I
Yeah.
could even side by side the same thing I'm seeing in a chart, but I would come to it a little differently because of the two systems.
Right.
So
Okay.
if you're using another system, Mayan astrology, Arabic astrology, Chinese astrology, whatever you're using, as long as you're accurate, I'm good
Yeah.
with that.
So are you going to get different results from each chart or from each system?
I like to use the Chinese proverb of you the There are many paths up the mountain, but the
Yeah.
view of the moon is the same at the top.
Okay. Okay. I get
So
it.
again, it doesn't matter. Yeah, of course, you're going to have different
Yeah.
mythologies. For instance, in some systems, all the stars are feminine, all the planets are masculine. In other systems, there are masculine and feminine stars and planets. Right
Right.
there, you're already having gender stuff going on.
Yeah.
Okay, I know gender is a sensitive issue too, but the thing is, let's look at it as positive. Doesn't necessarily mean good. It is used as the idea of masculine, but what that we could think of that as force or action. And then feminine, receptive is a really good way to think of that. You don't have to think of it as negative. I think that the Western mind loves to see an opposites. That's how we're trained from
Yeah.
little children. So it's a lot more challenging to understand things with more gray area.
Okay. Okay. So my knowledge of astrology is fairly limited. I'm going to be really honest. Like, I know the signs. And for me, when I do readings, when I hear somebody's sign, it allows me in some way to tap into that energy. But however, as far as their charts or anything along that line, like I would never in any way consider myself to be um an astrologist or anything along that line. For me, it just helps me to tap into possibly maybe parts of their personality, but it just somehow connects me to a time when they're um, born. Again, maybe some of their behaviors, some of their habits, something like that. But it really doesn't do anything for me, in an astrologist type of way, if that makes any sense. Like,
It does. But well, here's the deal. If we're
I know
talking
that there's
about
a lot of
suns,
people, but I was just going to, sorry, I was just going to add to
oh
that.
no, it's
I
okay.
was just
Sorry.
going to say that I know that there's a lot of people that know about as much as I do, which is like that do claim to be astrologers, and so I'm sure that's got to be annoying, for you.
Nah, I just, because I can run them around in circles, it's not annoying at all.
Yeah.
Uh, Real astrologers are trained in calculus because we can actually calculate things.
Mhm.
There's a lot of geometry involved in astrology. It's a language, it's a glyphic language. And then there's a lot of mythology. When I went to school for it, we were also trained in counseling.
Right.
A lot of people aren't, and that are preaching and maybe even coaching. And we were also trained to write horoscopes, which utilize the idea of the sun sign as if it was the ascendant. So, of what's showing up. And that's also a technique for reading a chart. Say you know somebody's birth date, but you don't know what time of day they were born, then you would read with the sun on the first house or the ascendant. So you would
Right.
manipulate the chart to do that. And that's exactly how horoscopes are written. That's the formula for horoscope writing. Uh, Great astrologers are also creative writers, hopefully, and it does take a little bit more because um we can't look at it like a cookbook recipe. We have to back up and see the entire buffet.
Yes.
So each planet in a sign in a house creates a single signature. When you look at the charts I use also, besides planets, the north and south node of the moon, I also use some asteroids, the main ones known as the asteroid goddesses from Greek mythology. I use a couple Arabic points. These are found by mathematical equations, and they're very unique. I take into consideration also these calculated points. So there's a lot more than just 9 things on the screen when I'm reading a chart. And
Right.
a great astrologer can look beyond just a planet in a sign in a house and back up and see the whole chart. This is why it's tricky to understand a computer printout of an evaluation
Right.
of a chart, because it's just looking at these little triplicities of signatures. Oh, this is really great, but then over here it's not so great. What do I do about that?
Yeah.
Well, then you need to be able to back up and see a lot more, but a computer cannot do that. Or AI yet. Yikes.
Sorry, I was just oops, did I lose you somehow? Hang on.
Yeah, lower left. There I am. I'm
What
back.
the hell happened there?
I don't
Sorry.
know. That's
That's
okay.
me. I was actually just responding in here in the chat. Andrea, yes, the PayPal is still the same. And hello, Sophia. Thank you. Thank you for joining. It's good to see you. Yeah, I haven't been on in a while, and I do apologize for that. So
I talked her into coming back.
she did. She actually did. So it was actually kind of funny because we had actually planned to come on last week, and I had a medical thing that I had to do in the morning, and it actually ends up tiring me out for like the entire day. It's nothing serious, so nobody panic or anything like that. It's a routine thing that I go for. But and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to be done by the end of the day, because by 6 o'clock at night, usually when I get this done, I'm like, okay, I'm like fast asleep, or I'm completely vegged out. And we had actually booked this before, and I was like, oh, I actually booked it on the same day as this procedure that I do. So I was like completely out of it. And so I was really, really, really grateful that you could do it this week. And I do appreciate that so much. Before the show started, we were talking in the green room a little bit, and but I do want to hear about your books, though, because you are an author too, and I think people should know that. And I think you've got one that just came out called "Cupid is a Bastard."
That is correct. Yeah, I've got a copy of it right here. Yeah, this is my pandemic project.
I love it.
I'm part of a writing group that is hosted by my editor. That's my editor. She works. She works for me on my books. I have my own publishing company, so I'm the publisher.
Okay.
And Rusty and I met in 2018 in Tallinn, Estonia. We went to Mind Valley University together for a month. So, and we just had a grand time being around other authors and writers and speakers, great speakers, just so wonderful. But one of her visions of what she wanted to create when she came back were retreats, writing retreats. And I had been a retreat guide and leader in Mexico and South America. And I said, wow, with all my contacts, the two of us leading, getaways and retreats, it'll be fantastic. So then the pandemic happened, and we had already started it online. So we were already there on Zoom in cyberspace. So we just kept going. We meet bi-monthly. And this book, Cupid is a Bastard, was totally conceived and written in the last 2 years. It takes, from the time I finish a manuscript, it can take almost another year in post-production, getting the layout. And this particular book has a lot of artwork and unique things in the layout that you can kind of see if you're watching this as I fan through. My art department just grabbed a hold of this and is doing such amazing things with it. And now we're growing. So Cupid is a Bastard is, we were doing a writing session. And what we do is we write from prompts. So Rusty has this amazing gift of bringing prompts to these retreats that we do online on Zoom.
Okay.
And I got inspired to start a little short story that I named in the moment, Cupid is a Bastard. Well, that was one of our weekend retreats. And during
Right.
those retreats, we have a guest speaker. And this guest speaker that weekend happened to be someone who hooks writers up with agents. And when she heard me say Cupid is a Bastard, she exclaimed. So as soon as I was done speaking, I went and bought the URL. I thought, man, that's a good one. Although it is a little tricky because it's being censored a little bit. Amazon lightened up, but Facebook made me name the page Cupid is a Bee.
Oh, of course.
That was the closest I could get. Which is weird because, Mike Myers' character, Fat Bastard, is fine there, but I'm not. Just saying.
Well, with Facebook right now, you can pretty much, run around naked, if you're part of a particular group or whatever. But if you're, being logical or you have, something intelligent to say, they shut you down.
It just depends. But anyway, the book is me processing internet dating during lockdown. Also, the death of my mother. She had died at the end of 2019, and then into 2020. In 2020, we locked down. So, I mean, I was just kind of at the point in my grieving that I felt like I could go out and maybe meet someone, but then I couldn't. And so I was processing that too. As a writer, and this is something I like to tell people that I coach in writing, it's always wonderful to just hold on to everything that comes up, all these ideas. Just have a system in place or several so you can capture your ideas, because some of the poetry that I wrote couple years back ended up in this book. So it's poetry, flash fiction, some dreams. I love analyzing dreams. So if anybody wants to call in with a dream, I love that. And processing poetry, processing about my mom and how much I love her, and her passing over to the other side, moving to the other side, and all kinds of stuff. Plus, there's even some recipes, because as we were editing the book, Rusty knows I love to create in the kitchen. And we were finishing placing all the poems in the order with the short story. So the poems kind of go in and out of the short story, which weaves through the whole book. And she said, why don't you put some of your chocolate recipes in this book? That's very Cupid. And I thought, okay, because I have some chocolate recipes. Well, I had that I had never shared with anybody. So she talked me into it. And there's some aromatherapy recipes in there too that I had never shared with anyone. So it's a recipe for loving yourself, everybody. I know it sounds a little snarky, and I mean, it's funny, right? Because you'll watch the trailers either on TikTok, YouTube, or, one of my social media channels. It's super easy to find me. It's just my name, Ambika Devi. So whether it's Linktree or ambikadevi.com, you'll be able to find all my social links that way. And also make an appointment if you really want to take a deep dive into your astrology, or maybe just setting some of your ideas in motion. I love doing that too.
So one of the other platforms that you and I both work on is Purple Ocean and Purple Garden.
That's right.
So if somebody, if you do want, a reading, if you don't want like the full hour or whatever it is that, people offer, this is a really great way to contact. Well, you really have access to, thousands of advisors, but of course you want to contact Ambika or I.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah, and actually on Purple Ocean, I'm just Ambika.
Yeah, I'm just Cathryn actually on the app too, because I just stay with my name, and I figure it's probably the easiest way to go. And I believe that you had said too is that you are leaving your 24-hour open for today only, right? Today only. So what you guys do, what you do for this app is you download the Purple Ocean app or the Purple Garden. They're both the same. But through the Purple Ocean app, you can get a 3-minute video. So this is either that will be delivered either in 24 hours, or you can pay a little extra and get it right away so that you're not waiting. And it's really worth it actually to do so. If people have their rush open, Ambika said that she will be leaving her 24-hour open for today only.
For overnight. I'm
overnight,
letting it open till tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you can get a screaming deal.
Exactly. Yeah, like honestly, you know, what is it? I think it's $10.
$10 for a 3-minute video for me, and I can say a lot in 3 minutes. And if you put that order in with your astrological data, and let me clear this up. There are 360 degrees in an astrological chart.
Yeah.
360 degrees. We've got 24 hours in a day, right? With 60 minutes in each hour.
Right.
I know I'm doing some math. Don't pass out yet. And every 4 minutes on Earth equals one of those 360 degrees. It is important that you have accurate birth time if you're asking astrological questions. Anything else is only looking at 1/3 of the equation, which is the sun sign.
Right.
So think about that. But if you have that, and you wouldn't believe what I can tell you in 3 minutes for $10. Are you kidding? So on Purple Ocean right now, you could even run and go put an order in. You don't have to make a video for your order. You could just type a few questions. Either way, I mean, I'll read cards if you don't have your astrological data handy. But it is, I just want everybody to understand that, Cathryn, because I've even had people given gift certificates to come see me, and they've given me a birth time. Now, when I see it right on the hour or half hour, I'm always a little skeptical. Just right then. But a lot of times people don't understand when I explain that to them and say every 4 minutes on Earth is one of the possible 360. Then that wakes them up and makes them go and find their gifts or their birth certificate. Or if their mom had a baby book, usually the mom writes the time, or maybe your mom remembers, because that was a pretty profound moment. You know, so some moms do remember, some dads do. And you'd be surprised. A lot of birthing centers or hospitals may even have the records. Some states do. You just never know. But it is important to get that data for your astrologer.
I actually found mine on, so I was adopted, and I found mine on my adoptions papers. Because, yeah. So that was how it was kind of interesting, because, you know, you don't know things about that, like those little things, you know, about yourself when you're adopted, right? And, you know, usually, like when I had kids, you know, I knew all my kids' birth times and all of that things, you know, even though I didn't realize the importance of it at that time. It was just a significant moment, you know, for me. But you know, my adopted parents, of course, they didn't know. They didn't have all of the access to all of the records. You know, they only get a certain amount, and et cetera, et cetera. So when I was able to access my adoption certificates, that's when I found all the information, which was really interesting. And speaking of, I actually gave you my information. So if you want to do a little bit of a sample of what it is that you do.
Sure. Well, today we're having a full moon.
Yeah.
So one of the things,
it's the moon, I believe.
Pardon?
Buck moon, I believe.
That's one of the names for it. Yeah. And it is, I'll tell you, it is at a perigee level, meaning it's closer to the Earth. And so that gives it supermoon status. Perigee, closer to the Earth. And think of geology. And that will, a full moon definitely affects it. It affects the tides and the weather. And one of the warnings of a full moon that is closer to our planet is that it can cause flooding. And already I saw a lot of flooding headlines today. So there you go. There you go. Little astrological weather.
Yeah.
And then the moon is also in kind of a sensitive place. It is opposite its sign. So the sun right now is in the sign of Cancer.
Yeah.
During a full moon, the moon is opposite the sign
Right.
of the sun. During a new moon, it's the same. So we're in a full moon. So the moon's in Capricorn. Um, and then, so what's that doing to you? Let's look at that. So the moon is in your second house uh, today, Kathy, in
Okay.
that full moon position. So we can look at full moons and new moons as setting a little pattern for the next fortnight or couple of weeks. And in your second house, this is the natural house of Taurus, one of Venus's houses. So it relates to what's attracting us, two things, what's being attracted to us. But second house can also be a place of a little bit of loss. So with the moon in Capricorn, when the moon is in Capricorn this time of year for you, it's a little bit of a sensitive time to maybe not overextend,
Right.
to and to maybe shore up things. um some people are wait till things break. Other people are a little bit more on top of replacing things or upgrading things. And
Right.
so I would say for the next couple of weeks, just kind of be mindful if something's getting frayed, to be honest. Like, do I really need this anymore? Is this serving me anymore? And that's not just with physical items, but also
Yeah.
people, places, and things,
Of course.
and
Yeah.
for us in the business we're in, it could be, clients. Sometimes we have to kick them out of the nest,
Yeah.
um, and Saturn is transiting your sun, your natal sun, right now in the third house. The third house affects our communication and little things that we're learning. Are there any new little techniques you're working on or learning right now,
Yeah.
Catherine?
Yeah, a couple actually, like just little things, but they're, I do a lot of work with epoxy resin. I
Mm-hmm.
make, the organites,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
a lot of artwork and stuff. And so I've actually been having this, desire or craving or whatever to kind of get in there and, just be playing with it a little bit more and learning some, different techniques and stuff. I'm always trying to learn something. So
That's good. That's good. I would say, and is this a side business for you?
it is, yeah. It's a side business, but mostly a hobby too. It's sort of one of those things that I just, I was really attracted to it. I kind of just fell in love with doing it for some reason. I would see some of the artwork that was being created by it. And I actually have a picture here. I'll show you. Just give me 1 second. Hang on. I'm just gonna.
Okay, while you're looking, I'll talk a
Oh,
little more about your chart.
yeah. Hang on a second.
Um,
I'm just gonna remove myself from.
okay. Oh, okay. Uh, well, while Kathy's gone, I'll talk a little bit about the full moon today. So, interestingly enough, in the
One of
full
these.
moon's chart, it is also affecting third house in general. So, mercurial happenings. Now, we know a lot about Mercury because of Mercury retrogrades. We know that
Mhm, mhm.
electronics can be sensitive. Uh, and this most recent Mercury retrograde did wreak some havoc on some personal electronics. It didn't fry them, but it helped me actually resolve a situation. I was having a really hard time with phone reception. It was just steadily getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Right.
I was paying more for it and it was making me nuts. And it did get resolved just recently because post that most recent Mercury retrograde, I feel like we are still even experiencing some recovery from that astrologically. So
Yeah.
if you're still going through it or feel like, yeah, when is this going to end? The end is near, but it definitely is requiring more roll up your sleeves and get it done,
Right.
rather than trying to imagine someone else is going to take care of it for you. Now that happened to be transiting. Well, that third house is where we've got Saturn transiting for you right now. And Saturn, it's past your sun, but it's retrograding back towards your natal sun. So there are a few little loose ends, I would imagine, for you. And if you did want to take this endeavor of this creativity to make it even a little bit more, maybe not just for the sole purpose of income streaming, but because I
Mhm.
also know, I mean, I know Cathryn a little bit, everybody. So some of this is just because we've known each other for a few years. And I know she really loves helping people, and
Yeah.
that she's very passionate about helping people to heal and
Mhm.
transform and grow. And I love the idea of the organite because that's very healing. And
Yeah.
your artwork, even you're
I'll
making
show you
some
one of the
wall art.
pictures. So this is
Yeah,
one of the pictures I created.
right.
And it's sort of like it's very I don't know, it's so healing for me to go in and do it. Like,
Are you putting organite type things into the wall art?
I no, the art wall art is mostly well, I vary it. So I have made a couple with some of the more natural products that I'll blend in with the picture.
Mm-hmm.
But usually with the organite, so the organites themselves, I've actually had dreams, which is really weird. Like I'll actually have dreams. Like I think I dreamt this one here, and I was like, I feel like I need to make one that just felt very kind of, I don't know, Palladian, I guess, almost or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I recently did one for a friend of mine who had asked me to put her husband's ashes into the organite. And I found that it was something that I really enjoyed. Now, here's the interesting thing is I really stalled on creating it for a long time because I really wanted to listen to him, I guess is the best way to say it. I wanted to get, what does he want to present to her? And so I needed to take some time with that, and I just sort of listened, to the messages that I was receiving and all of that stuff. And it turned out really beautiful. But there was actually 6 of them that I created for her. So each one was, separate and individual. And I listened to each one. So one was like, for his friends, for his son, things like
Oh,
that, right?
wow.
And I had actually created 6 of them. And it was really it's kind of a nice thing to be able to have the person's of course I had to learn to work with it, so it was a whole new new thing for me, because it doesn't mix the same as you're mixing with the other epoxies or mica powder and paint and everything that you're creating, right? So a lot of the artwork I can also make with human ashes as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's one of those things that I kind of just listen to what I'm hearing and then place it into the paint. Now, a lot of the paintings that I do are mostly just me screwing around. I'll have a really long day on Purple Ocean or something like that, and you're just like, okay, I need to get all of this out onto a canvas.
I like to do creative things too. And for those of you who are actually watching us, you can see there's a bunch of Lego behind me.
Yeah.
I rediscovered Lego recently. Um, the little Grogu, the baby Yoda, was one of my first bigger sculptural attempts, and I was having a writing block, and I had a deadline for a periodical I was writing for. And I just had to give up because every time I was sending it in, I was getting constructive feedback. And I had never had so many throwbacks of the same article from them. And I had just bought myself this kit, and I thought, all right, I need to just give up on this article and just do something else. So
Yeah.
I started working on that, and I didn't stop for the entire day. I finished it the following morning, and then I walked over to my computer and wrote the article, and then they loved it. And I thought, that took me to a different place in my head, And since we're doing show and tell, I wanted to see if I could do a self-portrait out of
Oh, I love
Lego.
that. That
Yeah.
is so good. I love that. That is
So
really
these are really cool because they have little Easter eggs of
yeah.
things in it. And it's not like paint either, because you can't just go to the store and get 30 purple ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
hunt for these.
Yeah.
This is kind of like an escape room and a Lego project
We
because you
actually
have to hunt for the parts.
so my son was always into Lego, of course, but as he got a little bit older, of course, it wasn't really him that was doing the Lego. It was more or less mommy on the floor. Like the Ghostbusters mobile. Yeah, I'm buying this for my son. Right.
I have in the winter time. I live in the northern hemisphere like you do, and in the wintertime, it's a really fun thing to drink tea and build Lego. So I've
Yeah.
actually been stocking up on some kits, but I'm running out of display area. So that's why I wanted to do the self-portraits. Plus, those are me. I'm
Mhm.
designing those, and
I love
I
that. That is really good. Like that's talent. I tell you, I would never be able to do that. Like my
it's tricky stuff.
self-portrait.
I think the trickiest part is learning how to use the itty bitty tiny wrench to get one of those off.
Oh, for
Because
sure. For sure. This would
when
be my
I
self-portrait, a little stick man. Pretty much that's where my talent lies in.
well, artwork is a big thing for me. I I've been really into it. I was actually being interviewed on a show for poets recently, and we were talking about this. And um, I started out making graphic novels because I was inspired by Mad Magazine heavily as a
Yeah,
kid. And I
I
particularly
remember those.
loved the
I used
little
to like that.
margin cartoons called Spy versus Spy.
I
And
love the Spy versus Spy. Oh, I miss those.
oh man, I love them. And
They were my favorite part of
I
the Mad
had kind
Magazine.
of a version of my own, but I still do stuff like that. But artwork, drawing, designing. I mean, I've done most of my book covers. The ones I haven't done, I designed, but
Yeah,
my art department makes them. They're to me, they're just so amazing because I can say I want this and this, and I take photographs and give it to them, and they make it, and it's just like, wow, I don't have to sweat it, you know. they
absolutely.
they can really do it for me. Um, so anyway, back to your astrology.
Yeah,
I would say right now just is a really good time to kind of decide from what you've been doing recently with your creativity, uh, what you want to solidify, what you want to kind of put into your foundation. And also, if there is any kind of business enterprise, it is a good time to look at it and see if maybe anyone around you could be helpful,
right,
so that it can blossom out. This area of your chart, the second house, as is the eighth house, because of the house system I use, which is called the Koch house system. The house systems are what are using the latitude and longitude. That's why a professional astrologer will ask you for your birth date, which gives
right,
the sun sign, for the time, which helps to get everything in position, latitude and longitude, also because that's the location of birth. And different house systems use different mathematical equations. Koch I really like because I when I was a young astrologer, the astrologer I was apprenticing with Barbara Shear. I don't know if you ever heard of Sedona Magazine or Sedona Times. She was their astrologer for many, many years. I apprenticed with her.
Yeah.
And she used Coke. So when I went to school, when I went to college for astrology, and my main astrology teacher, who was teaching about house systems and things like that, announced she was using Coke, I was like, wow, I felt really good about myself, like she was so famous for timing. She was the one who
Yeah.
could nail timing. And that's something, a lot of times people come on a platform like Purple Ocean and Purple Garden, and they want to
Mhm.
know, they're very demanding. They want to know timing.
Yeah.
And this is something we were talking about in the green room earlier is, people, we need to take responsibility for what is happening in our lives.
100%.
So if you're using the word will in your question to me, I will help you to reframe that to what can I do in order to create,
I like
make,
that. Yeah.
gain, and not everybody can handle that,
Yeah.
Cathryn. A
No,
lot of
because they
people
don't want
aren't
to take
ready to.
responsibility for their actions. I find that a lot. And I've said that to a lot of people, and especially here on the show too, is that we can give a prediction. Or we can look at the energy of something or whatever it is. But the bottom line is going to come down to responsibility of actions. And, there's been so many times where I've said, look, don't contact this person. They will come to you. This is the time frame I get. And usually so I don't know, like, so when I do readings, I do talk to my guides. I do hear a lot of things that come through. I do channeling, all of that, right? And it kind of just, sometimes I'll just see a number or an image or whatever it is. This is how it's being relayed to me, and usually my timing can be fairly accurate. However, it's going to depend, right? And I've said, hey, don't contact this person. They will come to you. Give them between this time and this time. Just kind of
Right.
sit
So
back.
that's potential. That's exactly what
Yeah,
astrology does.
yeah,
Astrology will give you the highest potential. Sometimes you're going to ask for something that maybe your chart is not showing a lot of potential for. As your astrologer, my job is to clarify that for you. But also, if that's really what you want to do, then we look at astrolocality, which is astrocartography, and, maybe there's a better location for it, or what the top timing could potentially be to give you a little boost on that. But sometimes things just aren't meant to happen. And learning to accept where we're at and what we're up to is a big part of it. How do you feel? I'm curious. How do you feel about what I call, this is me, this what I call spying on other people? What are they thinking? What are they doing? How do they feel about me? I'll tell you, even before you answer, Cathryn, my what I really want to say comes back from one of the early books that I read in my brother's room. He was my older brother, which was Mad Magazine's Snappy Answers to Stupid Questions. And if you're asking me what's the other person thinking, what I really want to tell you is, why don't you talk to the other person?
right. Unless there's no contact. I think that can sometimes be, and I think I mean, I do agree with that. I 100% agree with that. I think the problem is that, especially lately, well, no, I mean, this has been a time honored thing, time
Oh,
honored,
yes.
time honored effery, let's just say. But, I think that a lot of people, they are in that place of, they sometimes, and I've asked people straight out, hey, XYZ. And, you receive the answer. And, as a human, we want to believe that answer. We want to have faith and trust in that person to give us the honest answer of what it is that we've asked. Unfortunately, again, human nature or human screwy comes in, and we don't get that answer, we don't get that. So I mean, I mean, as well as I do, how many times people have probably confronted their spouses and, are you cheating? Is there
Oh,
somebody else? Are
right, right,
you,
right.
what is going on? And they get the answer of no, 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 you're the only one for me, blah, blah. I would tell you if I was cheating on you. I would tell you if there was somebody else. I would tell you. No, you're not.
Right, right.
So I think that that's where a lot of people, do have that, um and the sad thing is that you want to have that belief in the people, you want to have that belief in human beings. And I think that as within our clients or whatever it is, it really comes down to that place of, now they're starting to doubt themselves because they've put trust into people on so many occasions. That when somebody trustworthy does appear, they don't know, now they're not trusting their own internal system. They're not trusting, I've been there. I've 100% been there, where I've asked straight out, and you want to believe that person. You want to put full faith into that person. Um, and then you find out, the opposite is true. And it really puts you in this place of, whew, okay. Like, where is it was easy for me to look at other people's lives, but I was like blocked with my own because I wasn't trusting myself with myself. I guess if is the best. I was able to look into other people and I was like, oh yeah, this, and people would be like, oh, you're so accurate. Yeah, I know. But with me, I lost that accuracy, or I lost
Well,
that.
I think that's the emotions getting involved,
Right.
When it's
Yeah.
somebody else, we are witnessing. But this is what yogis practice for lifetimes, is learning how to be the witness and non-reactive. You
Yeah.
see? And one of the big hangups is the attachment to the outcome and not being in the moment. So,
Well,
and then the fantasy. I mean, how many times have I talked to somebody who just met someone, or maybe they haven't even met in person anymore because, internet dating is pretty much where people were connecting over the last couple years and still
right.
do.
Yeah.
And they get these fantasies going. It's what I call building the picket fence and the Hallmark, fairy tale. And it's non-reality, as like you're not communicating. I mean, even even some of my yogi friends can still do it. I mean, we're human beings, and when our
Yeah.
emotions get heightened, our fantasies run away with us, and that makes it more difficult to pull back and be the witness. Another thing is just understanding everybody interacts and comes into contact with each other at the perfect timing.
It-
um we are projecting something, and others are reflecting what we project. So I really love Abraham Hicks, and how she, also known as Esther Hicks, how
yeah.
she describes this, because she'll do it in so many different ways till somebody will get it. So I find myself recommending her so often to people to understand more about this, about law of attraction, and I manifested this, when will. She really can get in your face about being in the moment and understanding that
100%. Yeah.
reflection. And then if you still need more schooling, I'll send you to Carolyn Mace. Because Carolyn Mace gets in your face, and she'll tell you to stop it, when you're holding on to some idea from the past that's over. I love it. Do you know who she is? Have you actually
No,
watched her or listened to her?
not Carolyn. I know Esther Hicks's work quite
Hmm.
very, very well. But I have not heard of.
Oh, Carolyn, look her up. MYSS is how you spell her last name. She's good. She's Greek. So Mace is spelled MYSS. And at one point, she set up a card table on the sidewalk in the city, and people would sit down and start talking about their relationships, and she would just hit the table and say, "It's over." I mean, she just doesn't put. I wish we could do that. I really wish we could do that. We can't, because people, they're hurting. I mean, I understand, and but there is this part of me, that wants to be Carolyn and just go, "It's over, let it go, move on," Next.
Exactly. So we do have some questions coming in.
Excellent. Let's answer them.
Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do is I just Renata, thank you so much for your donation. Just put the question down below. What we're going to do is I do have to we're going to just take a quick 3 minutes here. So just to kind of allow me to get a little bit organized, I have to run to the washroom too because I drink a lot of
bio
coffee.
break. Okay.
Yeah, it is. But it's literally 3 minutes long, and we'll be right back. And then we'll get right into the questions. How does that sound for you?
Okay. All right. So we're going off camera.
Yeah, we go off camera. Yeah, we go off
Okay.
camera.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
Hello. We are back. I'm just writing everything down, guys. Just give me a second. And Renata, I got your question. Thank you so much. Okay. So, so I think how we'll do this is we'll start. I'm going to, I'll read the question of what they want to know. And I'm going to let you start, and then I'll come in with what I've picked up. I've been doing a lot of writing, channeling, and stuff like that. So I'm going to kind of just do that. I probably will listen to what you're saying. Sometimes I don't, though. So if you see me at my head down, just wanted to give you a heads up. I'll be probably channeling what I'm picking up. So we're going to start off with Will. So Will likes to know he wants to know mostly about his love life, career, and maybe that, like, more or less just messages of spirit guides.
Oh, yeah. I saw it was just a general kind of reading request.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read cards for that. Also, if somebody wants me to look at astrology, I need date, time, and location. Telling me your sun sign doesn't tell me anything. I could comment on the full moon. That's about it. But horoscope, I mean, yeah, there's there's not much there. But for Will, let's look and see what my cards have to say for Will. And I think there was somebody else there kind of looking for card reading. Will, there's a project that could really use a whole lot more work from you. You might have backburnered it, and it is not moving at all right now, but it wants to. So this might involve leaving a situation that, even a partnership that was integral in this, and that there was a clash of thinking, particularly the behavior of moving forward with this. That's where the hang up is. And but that other person is not investing. They're not investing their energy in this. So you should. I don't usually should my clients, but this project really wants you to pay attention to it and get into it. You've got the tools you need. You don't need this other person. You don't even need any kind of investment. So that would be energetic or financial. So my cards say, wake up. Let's get on with it. How about you, Cathryn? What did you get on that?
So it's really interesting because as you were, the first thing I actually heard for Will was listen. Okay. It feels like the word listen. It feels like he's really being drawn toward something, but I kind of feel like what's going on here is that he's not really listening to what he's being drawn towards. And when I say that, it may have to do with this project that you're actually speaking of here, because the next thing I did is it does come up is like, don't follow the pack for some reason, like be an individual, really embrace and start embracing your own individuality in regards to just things around you. And I do feel that it may have to do with a particular project or a particular it's like start placing the focus into developing you instead of, I don't know why I'm hearing this, but it almost feels like develop you instead of developing you for somebody. Because I feel like the more that he's developing himself as an individual within his own core self, this is what is going to be drawing in the people and things that are necessary for him, and the things that he actually wants, especially in regarding relationships. So, because I do know that, there is a relationship that, he's interested in, but, I also feel too, maybe he perhaps at this time, to listen to you as well. But I'm also getting, it just seems like there needs to be a lot more self-focus at this particular time. And I just keep hearing like he's being called to something or called somewhere, or hearing something, maybe even, like repeatedly coming through himself, that he needs to start placing his focus upon. It's almost like one of those things, when you're walking down the street and you feel like you should walk into a store. But I feel like for him, this might be coming up on, maybe I should check out this, maybe I should check out that, maybe I should Google this, or maybe I should, do some, I just keep getting that energy going around in regards to that. And I feel like, and I'm going to be honest, Will, I do feel that there's still some, maybe perhaps like removing alcohol. Now, when I say this, I do not want anybody in any way to take this as a, that, that anybody is over abusing or over substance or anything like that. I just feel like right now there's something going into your body that is not helping the progress of your body, if that makes any sense. Like, I just feel like at this time, it's almost like you need a cleanse. I just keep hearing like you need a cleanse. So yeah, take that as it is, as it's coming through. But it kind of feels like to me that you are, being drawn. You're being drawn somewhere, and you have to start following it. You have to start following it is what I keep getting. So I hope that helps, Will. I know Will said that he was working today, so he's going to watch it later on. So
Okay.
Yeah. But so next is Love Tea. And she wants to know about R, the letter R. And she wants to know his thoughts, feelings, actions towards her.
My favorite questions.
I don't know if you want to know, their birth sign, like.
No, the only time I want any astrological data is I want all of it. But then I would need you to go first because I'd have to calculate a chart real quick. So I have to type in all the data. So that'd be great if you could just drop it in our private chat. And if it's somebody I need to make a chart for. But on this question, I can definitely read cards. So let's see what they have to say. So this is R. And it's in the perspective view of what? Give me the question, the framing of it.
I believe she just said, hang on a second. His thoughts, feelings, and actions.
His thoughts, feelings, and actions. Okay, so his thoughts, and I'm assuming that you want to know towards you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's definitely, there's attraction. There's wanting to almost put you on a pedestal, but for some reason things aren't happy. Why, I wonder. The sexual compatibility is off a little bit. Yeah, I get blunt, everybody, so you just have to be ready for it. I've been doing this for 45 years, so I don't usually sugarcoat ever. There's a communication issue of complete truth telling, and it's not so much about hiding the truth. It's about feeling safe enough to really express needs, which is a hang up in a lot of relationships.
Is that on her part or his part?
That's both. But we are focusing more on the side of him.
Right.
But I definitely picked that up on both. I think he has a really strong energy field, and even if he felt weakened or challenged, his persona would give the impression that he had it all together and was really strong. But from there's this type of karma, everybody, that we bring in. The buildup of karma from a past life is called prarabdha karma. And so when I see the Three of Swords show up, it's, to me, this is the card of prarabdha karma, of the stuff that's in our hearts that is still communicating to us and even moving us a bit because of our reactions to things from this karmic buildup. I feel that there is hope here to grow if communication can be clarified. And the Tower card did show up in the location in this reading of his self view. Well, that's a pretty heavy duty self view, is being the Tower, exploding, the ego blowing off. And that's what the crown blowing off of the Tower symbolizes. And really just being able to dive in to a river of energy, trusting. Now, it is the card of chaos. Chaos is when there is change that's out of our control. So he feels swept up in things because he's going through changes that are out of his control.
Yes.
You can take it from there.
Well, it's interesting. So a lot of the things I channeled. So and Lofty says that, at the moment they're separated, like they're not together at the moment. But so it's interesting because the fact that you pulled up the Tower. So one of the things that actually came through right away was, him being blocked. And I feel like what's happening is these blocks are starting to crumble. And it feels like, his around him, I kept getting, he's scared to fall apart. He's scared to be open. He's scared to be open. He's scared to be honest. He's scared. Like there's a lot of walls that he's built up around himself. And Lofty, I feel like when it comes to you, one of the things that he is scared of is the fact that you're knocking out some of these blocks. Okay. So when he's around you, even if it's not, being present at this moment or anything like that, I feel like energetically these blocks are being knocked out. And it's like the other things I got. Okay. So I do feel like coming forward. I also feel here though, too, is that he is scared of, I hate using the word scared, but I mean, really that's what it comes down to, right? Is fear. And I feel like when he's with you, or, when you guys are in that communication, when he does think about, his future, or his whatever, he knows there's a commitment. So he knows that you're not, some, ship in the night type of person. He knows that is not the energy between the two of you. And what he wants is, or what he wants to do, or what he wants to do, and what his actions are at this moment are, they are separate at this moment. He wants to come forward. He wants to say something. I do feel though that these blocks are getting knocked out, and I do feel like these baby steps are happening within him. So I don't know what the communication was, because you had mentioned there that he did bring you up to a friend, or had spoken to you about or spoken to a friend in regards to you. I feel like this is his start of knocking out some of these blocks and starting those baby steps. He asked my friend about my relationship status, but still, yeah. So he wants to know, obviously, right now, if that door is still open, if there's that possibility. This is something that, he's going to have to find his footing on, right? I do feel that when he thinks of you, or when he wants to, or when you are in his mind or whatever, he does see this as a relationship. But at the same time, his core self, his energy self at this moment is also terrified of the relationship. So when he says, so you just wrote, he told the friend he wants to contact me, but he won't because it's best for me. Right now it is. Right now it is, because right now it would be in and out energy. Okay. And that's not what you want from him. You want him to be solid. And I do feel that through these baby steps, he is building an energy of solidarity, like within himself. But he does have some things, some steps to go through for sure. So, he's got to get over a lot of these fears. That's what I keep getting. So, what are his actions? I feel like right now, he might be quiet still for a little bit. I keep hearing something about August though, where he might be starting to build up those, that energy of being able to release this, of coming forward. I do feel he's still going to contact. I don't feel like this fear is lasting for him, but I am hesitant in the extent of, in some way, it's almost better that he doesn't until he's actually ready to do so, is what I feel. Because you want an actual commitment out of him. You don't want in and out crappy energy from him. And that's still kind of where he is. I do not feel though, when I look at his energy, I don't feel like he's around other people, like other relationships or anything like that. I don't at all. I don't. I feel like he's very individual, and I feel like he's trying to work his own shit out, So I hope that helped. I hope that gave you a little bit. I feel like right now, this is actually an opportunity for you to work out any blocks that you have as well. Okay. I feel like this will be a good time for you. I feel like, you know what, go out and enjoy your summer if you can. I don't know what, if you're working or, in school or whatever it is that you're doing, but this is a really good time. It almost feels like to separate your energy from him, let him do what he needs to do, because I still feel him coming back. But you want him to be back when he's committed. You don't want this nonsense type of in and out energy, is what I keep getting. So I hope that's helped. Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I agreed with what you were saying about he's working on himself, and but we have to understand, a person could be in this phase and have high potential for success, but they could still screw it up, or they could have low potential for success and screw it up. So we have to always understand that ultimate timing is as per what is being invested, how things are being communicated throughout the process. And I don't ever recommend putting your life on hold for somebody, which I'm kind of vibing is where a part of you is. And I agree with what Cathryn said about go out and enjoy the summer. Definitely let go of expectation, because expectation is a recipe for disappointment.
Yeah. When we really start to focus in on ourselves, and it sounds, I know we hear this from every YouTuber, we hear this from every psychic, we hear this from every intuitive, we hear this from every therapist, but a lot of people really don't understand how important it is to surround yourself with your own energy, and to surround yourself with people that are, going to, that are participating with you now. And the hard part is that, because we do have, those hopes and dreams and wishes. But here's the thing, is that when we start focusing in on the now, or the right now, and how can I improve my life at this particular moment? What am I grateful for right now? All of that energy. It is amazing how much the universe moves to create our dreams and desires, because we're not placing that focus on that dream and desire, right? We have it there. We know what it is that we want. We place the intention there, I guess is the best way to say it. We know what it is that we want as the end result. But at the same time, we're living our life right now, and we're in this place of our own happiness and our own just our own energy. And again, just people around us that are participating with us and giving us, some sort of joy, right? And it is amazing what God, universe, whatever, wherever you want to place it, it creates miracles, and this is how miracles are truly created at the end, right? And, sometimes I even recommend to people, sometimes I say to them, look at, you know what? Set your intention. What do you want, either with this person or in general, okay? Because when we talk about relationships, a lot of times when we talk about relationships, what we end up doing is we are focused on the here and now of what they're not doing. Right. And when we're focused on the here and the now of what they're not doing, we're getting more of the here and now of what they're not doing. So
right, because energy follows attention.
Right. And
period.
So, yes.
Energy follows attention. So if we're putting our attention on gratitude for things that we love and things that we desire more of, we'll create more of that. But when we're fearing things about some situation, we have to be careful. And when we're living too much in the past, it creates anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the present moment, this is why people want to practice and understand meditation, so that they can more readily clear the mind chatter and get back on track.
So one of the things I actually do, so this is one of the practices that sometimes I'll do, because it is hard, like when we've got a lot of past shit, or sometimes when we have just a lot of crap in general, or maybe things that are, happening around us, whatever it is. We start to place that focus upon it, because I mean, let's be honest, it's not that easy to be in that everything is lovely and this is where I am and everything is like, it's hard to sometimes be there. So what I do is I will go for a car ride or go for a walk, where it's quiet and private, or go into your basement of your house or whatever. Let it out. Let it out, because what we do is we end up pushing it down. We push it down. We push it down. We push it down. We push down all our fears, anxieties, all of that stuff. And sometimes if we just let it out, sometimes I'll go for a car ride, I'll crank up the music and I'll be in my car and I'll just be like, ah, probably the people in the car next to me think I'm whacked, but I don't care. But you let it out. And then what you've done is you've literally cleared your energy, because a lot of people, they'll try to be like, oh, it doesn't bother me. Push it down. Oh, it's okay. I just have gratitude. But you still got all of that resentment or anger or whatever it is building up inside of us. And so we need to sometimes let it out. And that is okay. We are not perfect human beings. We are not perfect creatures, right? When an animal is angry, what do? Right? They go and kill something. So that's okay. But we don't, as humans, we don't do that. Or we shouldn't be. But like when an animal is angry, like they'll take a swat at you. If you pet a cat too much, they're going to take a swat at you, right? If the dog doesn't want to be petted, they're going to
scratch the couch. I mean, they let their emotions out. What you're, the example of a primal scream is excellent. Look, I've had plenty of clients and even myself where I've hit places in my life with people and situations, and the frustration level is just so intense.
Yeah.
And yes, all the great spiritualities teach us to let go and let the divine, don't fight the river, just relax and float, even if it feels really crappy in that present moment. But and focus on what has been good, focus on what you're grateful for, focus on what you do have. Sure, I mean, there are situations where it's really difficult, I get that, but what Kathy is suggesting in a good solid primal scream is great, because when we really let go, when we really surrender, then we are able to open up and get ourselves back in that flow of energy again. And there's so many great stories from so many different spiritualities about just that, about letting go. It's like fighting a river. You have to, if you're coming close to the falls, you have no choice but to try and relax to go through that. You're not,
Absolutely.
you
You
can't
know,
go running up the down escalator. You'll fall
no.
down.
There's something to be said, about the expression Jesus take the wheel. Like at some point, you just kind of go, okay, you know what?
Or the
I have let out.
Rastafarian version of that, which is Jah is my driver, or, let go and let God or goddess,
Yeah,
thy will be done. These are all expressions of surrender. There was a time where there were these little sculptures of yogis from Bali, with their head in their hands in cross-legged position. And that's, it's just any of these postures, like child's pose, if
yeah.
that's available to you, or just laying on your belly with your
Hmm.
hands up, just putting your belly against the earth. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to scream, as long
Hmm.
as you're not disturbing or freaking anybody out, but go ahead and let it rip. And in your car with the windows up is a great place, because it's pretty soundproof. Not all houses and apartments are anymore. So it's really good. I noticed there are a couple people asking questions and want to know, do they have to pay? And it is.
Tonight I did put down for donation only tonight, because I think we've got a couple more, and then
Right.
we'll probably, unless we get any in the next few minutes, we'll probably, we'll try to end this for around 8 tonight. I think we had said. I didn't. I
Okay.
told. Ambika is in a whole different time zone than I am. So, I mean, for me, I'm
That's
good.
okay. I'm used to speaking and doing international gigs, so I took a nap today. Don't worry, everything's fine.
Good.
If we go a little over, I'm okay. I did see somebody put astrological data there named
Yeah, this is
Sophia.
this is Sophia. So I don't know if I'll just read the question out, and I know that.
I did the chart just in
Okay,
case,
good.
because I'm not seeing who's donating. But hey, Cathryn and I work for a psychic hotline.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Exactly. So I'll just read it for everybody, so that so the audience can hear if they're not watching the chat. She is asking, what's next in love for me for the next few weeks? There is a love interest. I'm a Sag Sun and Taurus rising. 12. I won't read all of that. He's a Taurus Sun. And so yeah, you already put the information in. And
Right, I did, because I saw Astro Data, so I went and created a chart. And so the next few weeks, okay, so that's looking at transits of inner planets, because they move swiftly. So particularly the moon, and this happens to be a lunar return for you, because you were born with the moon in Capricorn. So today's full moon, actually a little earlier than the moment of the full moon, which was earlier today, is when you had that lunar return. We have a lunar return just about once a month, because it's when the moon comes back to the position it was in our birth chart, the sign and the degree of that sign. And your natal moon is in the 9th house, spiritual growth, foreign travel, and interacting with foreign cultures. So that could be through the food or meeting somebody from a foreign culture. But when I looked at your progressed moon chart, what I see and what I'd much rather you ask me questions about our career, because from 2020, there is an uprising and a change coming in 2025. So as far as love and relationships go, let me see, I'm just going to look at also a progression from the moon position, another moon position progression of where you're at right now. And I would rather advise you, Sophia, rather than to think about trying to solidify and create the foundation of a long-term, long-lasting relationship. I'd much rather you focus on career right now, because you are going through a period that's influenced by Mars. You started the Mars Mahadasha December 27th of 2021 when you were 25 years old. And now, since May 26th of this year of 2022, now Mars with the North Node. This is no time to set a foundation. Anything set having to do with passionate kind of attraction is likely going to be fraught with lessons. So I'd rather you be the witness of that. Hey, if it's enjoyable, great, but try not to do that projecting that I spoke about earlier. Hopefully you heard me talk about it. Try to really stay in the present moment. It's great if you meet somebody that sparks you, but when that's the Mars, but the North Node is always going to make you sort through things. Now be careful too, because anything we want or desire, which is an aspect of Mars itself, is going to be exacerbated by the North Node. So one of my favorite examples is a dear friend who, also an astrologer. He and his wife were trying to have a baby, to create a pregnancy. And then he went into a phase dominated by the North Node, and they ended up becoming pregnant with triplets. That they, so what you wish for, what you hope for, you get more of. So just take that and let's see what happens with it. But again, as a client of mine, which you now are at some level, I'd have to take your head, focus you not just on career, but also personal health. I want you to really look at your hygiene. And when I say hygiene, I'm not talking about if you brush your teeth or wash your armpits. I'm talking about the food you eat, what you're putting into your psyche in media consumption, books, movies, music. What are they saying to you? Because you're in a sensitive time zone with that, where it will affect you more profoundly. Let's see what Cathryn has to say.
So I actually I stayed with your original question in regards to this particular person. I don't know. Maybe you can just write in the comments for me, Sophia. Has he contacted? So actually, it's funny because Sophia actually did just come back from an international trip. So she's in Dubai, and she actually was just in the States and in Canada not very long ago, like just the other day. So pretty cool. Yeah. So if you can, just let me know if he has contact. I do feel that I don't know, I keep getting this energy right now that he's still going to be a little bit quiet. I still feel like he wants to contact, but I feel like this energy he's really subdued right now for some reason, or at the moment. I also get this energy from the both of you that there's a lot of overthinking from the both of you coming together, like both of you are overthinking a lot of things. And it's really interesting because what I'm getting shown here is he's overthinking, you're overthinking, and what is so let's just say you're here, he's here. Okay. And I see the energy between the two of you towards each other. And right now it kind of looks like a ball of yarn, to be honest. Like, because it almost feels like both of you are putting too much thought or I don't know why I hear this retention of actions towards each other. It's such a weird expression, but so I do get this energy also that he feels lonely. Now whether this he's surrounded by people or not, or there's people around him, I don't know, but he feels lonely within his energy itself. Like his energy is quite lonely. I do feel he's going to be contacting, but I still get that. I just get this off and on energy coming through right now. And I kind of feel when he comes in, I do feel he's super curious. Like he's super curious. He wants to have, contact. He wants to have conversation. He wants to, do all of this stuff. But I also get this energy as like, if I do it, is it going to mean something? If I don't do it, is it like, again, a lot of overthinking, and it's turning into like this ball of yarn, or you ever see those, like those black clouds above, like when you watch like a Linus cartoon or like a Charlie Brown cartoon, and it's got that big cloud of it's turning
That's
into
Pigpen.
Pigpen. And that's what it's kind of reminding me of. So it's not particular, like nothing, it's not bad. It just feels like both of you are really on each other's mind, and there's a lot of overthinking that's going on at this moment for some reason. And I feel like I really want to go with what Ambika said, like kind of like start focusing on career, start focusing on the school, start focusing on this, because I feel like he's got things that he's working out for some weird reason. And I do feel that a good portion of this has to do with you. I do feel he's really regretting not seeing you when you were here. I really am getting a lot of that energy. And I feel like there's a lot of disappointment in himself at this moment. Okay. So, over the next couple of weeks, because that was your question, I feel like things are going to be a little bit slower. I still feel like he's probably going to reach out again. I did feel like it may have to do with work, but I feel like that's a door opening kind of conversation. But, I feel like saying to you, don't be disappointed when he does come in with like work stuff or whatever. I do feel there's going to be more conversation coming. It may not be in the next couple of weeks, though. Right now, it may stay at more casual. He might even, want to find out about the trip. He's going to have more conversation in regards to that, but it still might not be quite in that place of exactly what it is that you want at this moment, because I still feel like I just feel a lot of disappointment in himself right now. I really do. I feel a lot of disappointment in himself. I feel like he's really kicking his own arse. Okay. So, I think he'll get over that, to be honest. But I still feel contact. So I hope that's helped. I don't know if that was very clear, but I hope it was. That makes any sense? Just for now, kind of focus in on, as Ambika said, the career,
Health, hygiene. There's definitely, I mean, getting hot, the blood. These are things that these sorts of things show up in astrological charts. So I'd rather you put your full attention on you right now. And with the kind of timing information that Cathryn just gave you, it will be a few weeks before Venus gets out of your second house. That's never great. She's currently in Gemini in your second house, transiting there. there'll be a lot of coming and going in conversation with any and everybody. So just dial it down a bit so that you don't overheat yourself, because you're running a risk, especially in your own mind, creating paranoia. And don't overthink your dreams.
Yeah.
Don't overthink unless you really know you're lucid dreaming. If you're dreaming about somebody, everybody, and this is to everybody, it's your psyche. That's that person aspect of you you're interacting with. Unless you really know you're a lucid dreamer and you really can remote and you know how to do that, which takes a lot of practice, then 99.9 times, percent of the time, it's you fantasizing in your dream. Even if it's a conversation. Look, if you're resolving something from the past, that's great. That's closure.
Right.
And if you're having a conversation you wish you could have, or an interaction, that's great too. Enjoy it. But that's you and you. It's really important to understand that. I get that quite often with people. Remember earlier on, I said I really like to talk about dreams, but I do get clients that, oh, they're so sure. They were lucid dreaming and having an interaction with their ex,
Right.
and it's just finally getting some closure, actually, from yourself is
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on.
For sometimes it's interesting because I do feel the interesting thing that I keep feeling, with Sophia and this gentleman, is I do feel that it's almost like there is that mirror effect going on. And I do feel a lot of the energy that, Sophia, when you're in this place of that overthinking, it almost feels as though, even though you guys aren't even on the same continent, he goes into that place of overthinking. But I think that this is almost more you picking up on his overthinking, if that makes any sense. It's almost
There's
like,
an attraction. I won't deny there's a two-way attraction
yeah,
going on here.
yeah,
But, my suggestion is have more video chat dates. Communicate eye to eye.
yeah.
That's it. That's what needs to happen at this point. And not much for the next 3 weeks. I suggest waiting past the next new moon, because right now it'll, watch out. You might dig some holes that you don't want to dig.
Yeah, you just want to be careful right now. And again,
Yeah.
when we're coming from a place where we're feeling anxious or overwhelmed or overthinking, our brains aren't always that intelligent. Because we're coming from a place that's paranoid or whatever, it may happen to be. And, that tends to, put feet in our mouth. Right. Right.
Well, it's just really good to take a little more space
Yeah.
before reacting in communication. And
Exactly.
it's quite clear right now, and the next 2 weeks is not the time in your chart. So
Yeah.
yeah, put the focus on you and just be patient. I mean, the thing is, you're not crazy. There's an attraction there, that
Huge.
but
Yeah.
neither of us are really seeing that you can do anything about it right now.
Just it's right. Yeah. And that's the thing. And again, the distance doesn't help at this moment, but I do feel like when you're removing the attention from him, it really helps him to get into a place where your energy isn't coming in. Like it's not interfering with the work that he needs to do as well. Right. And sometimes a lot of people don't realize that, it's sort of like, we might, the minute that we forget about somebody, or not, maybe not that we're forgetting about them. I mean, they're going to be there, but we're not
No,
focusing.
we're letting go of the
Yeah,
expectation.
we're letting go of it. And that's where things really, change. And all of a sudden, you get that unexpected text, or all of a sudden you get that unexpected phone call, or whatever it is because, we're not placing our thoughts or our focus or whatever it is upon it. Right. Let's move on to Renata. So Renata says, I'm meeting this man named I'm going to go with George. But she says that he's an owner of a bank and a lawyer. Great person and personality. He seems very into me and enjoys my time. From what I understand, he is married with a child. And then he says it's only co-parenting. Am I putting myself into another disaster? This despite he wants to be very open and comfortable about us, but I have my guard up.
Well, the first thing I want to know from Renata is if this was a very dear friend of yours coming to you with that information, what would your advice to them be about getting involved with someone in that situation? I mean, I get that. Look, the first thing I tell people when they ask about getting married is, do you understand? Well, I ask them, do you understand that marriage has nothing to do with love? Marriage is an incorporation of property. So it is understandable that a person is, financially bound in a marriage, but yet there really is nothing more in the relationship. I mean, sure, they were friends, maybe they were lovers at at one time, but we need to understand that. So I would want you to be very clear on the rules and boundaries of that relationship. It's, it kind of sounds like, with what the information I just took in about it, that it's a loveless, sexless, maybe marriage. I don't know. I'm not going to assume, but the first card I pulled in the reading is the Hierophant, and so that tells me that there needs to be a lot more clarity about.
I literally just wrote that
About
Need
that.
more information.
Yeah, and then the final card is the Justice card. So, I mean, there are legalities and things involved when a person is married. And also, I would want to know, what do you want? What kind of relationship are you looking for? Because sometimes when we attract into our energy field a married person, it's because we don't want all of that commitment. And that's already handled by them in another way. So it's important to look at that ourselves. Do I see a connection there? Yes. I see an emotional connection more than anything else for the pair of you. And the spark of sexual attraction, most definitely. But there is such an emotional hang up about these gray areas as far as what your intention is, ultimately, what you really want, and what this other person really wants. Let's see what Cathryn has to say.
So the first word I actually heard was caution. I actually saw the caution sign. I really think it's going to be extremely important, Renata, that I really keep getting this energy from him, that he's like quite jovial. He can be, he's got that element of the business professional. He can be very business, but when he's, in that, I feel charisma is what I keep getting from him. A ton of charisma from this man. The problem is sometimes with charisma is the lack of honesty. And I think that that's where, there needs to be, and that's where I had written, need more information. And then that's for you. That's for you to get that information, right? And I feel like you have to almost come in to this meeting with him in this place of course, be open and be, have fun, and I'll, be as sexy as you are, because you're gorgeous, and you've got that, all of that stuff going on, right? You can charm, and wrap them around your finger. I know that. However, what I do feel is that you also need to come in that business professional as well. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the most powerful things we can do is say no, thank you.
Right. And I feel like you need to come in and present, when you ask a question, you need more information from this man, because I am getting this bit of energy here where I feel like what he could be looking for, is that friends with benefits on the side with the married person, right? With what, and here's the thing, if that's not what you want, I mean, that's the first energy that I'm getting from him. Now, here's the thing, you need to actually, obviously meet him in person, and all of this stuff. But I do feel, I keep getting this energy that when you ask him a question, this is where he turns on his charisma so that he doesn't have to actually maybe perhaps answer the question, if that makes any sense. Like, he'll answer, but it might be also disguised under the guise of charisma, right? So that's where I feel that you're going to have to be very set in, okay, but I asked you the
Be
question.
set about what you will and will not tolerate.
Right.
Be clear about what you really
Absolutely.
want.
There needs
I
to be the
saw you
boundary set.
wrote you want long-term and stability. Stability. What is stability? I need to know more from you, Renata, about the definitions. Long-term what? Stability what? What's stable? I had flashes while Cathryn was talking of Pretty Woman. It's just like, what, do you want a condo and jewelry and clothes? Or do you want somebody who's there and really focused on you 100%? If they're married, that's not going to happen. It just isn't. In 45 years, I've not seen that happen, of doing this kind of work.
Right. And here's the thing is that the bottom line is, when somebody is married, is that when you go through, I mean, here's the thing. Everybody's life is never going to be bright, sparkly, pretty pony, perfect, right? We're going to have, challenges. We're going to have things that, make us sad. We might have work challenges. We might have family challenges. We might have career challenges. We might lose people. A husband or the partner, I guess, when you have that marriage going on, that's what the partner, I mean, besides all the other things, I'm not saying that's just what they're there for, but that ultimately you have that person to put your head on, maybe to hold you up a little bit, maybe to be there, when you do need to talk, or when you do need to have somebody there. And this is vice versa. This isn't a one-way street. You're there for each other. Somebody has a day or gets a flat tire, who are they going to tell? Their partner, right? And so the problem is that when you're in a relationship with somebody who has another partner, where do you go? Because they're not going to be there for you. They're not going to be there for you. They might text you, oh, sorry that happened. Sucks to be you. Sorry that happened. My condolences. See ya. Go talk to your friend now, because they're not there to hold you. They're not there to, give you a shoulder to lean on. They're not there to, attend maybe perhaps a funeral with you, or they're not there to, come and help you fix your freaking tire. Right? Where are they? They're there helping the partner. Well, no matter what their relationship is with that partner, whether they get along, whether they don't get along, if they have their finances or children tied together, or, whatever it is, they're going to be there for that other person, because that's what a partnership is. And so we have to be very clear about, as you were saying, like, we have to be clear about what it is that we want. Do we want that person who is going to be there for us? And it's interesting because I had actually lost both of my parents in October and December. One in October, one at the end of October, one in December, so a month apart.
Wow.
And that was hard. And sometimes all you're really looking for is like, look, I know you can't solve the problem. You're not going to bring them back. There's no problem to solve here. But you want that, maybe that shoulder, or maybe you just, you might have some baggage to unpack, or whatever it is, right? And when you and so those are things that you have to think about, Renata, because is this person going to be there, or are they going to be with their partner? Because a lot of times when people are dating somebody who's married, we have these delusions in our heads that, oh, they're going to be there for me, hey, when this happens. And then we get the, sorry to hear that, that sucks, whatever, or whatever form of it is, right? But that's what you have to be aware of. So really put that intention out there, right? Because that will make the difference as to what you're drawing in. Maybe maybe you're one of those people that don't mind, dealing with things on your own, and maybe this is a relationship that you'd be okay with. But you have to make that decision for yourself, right? That's going to have to be your your projection out into the world of what it is that you're dealing with. There's a lot of people, like, for me, for instance, I'm sometimes okay with, dealing with shit on my own. But is that because I've always had to deal with shit on my own? Or, what is, like, you know what I mean? Like, but what do you want long term? And so when you talk about long term, you got to make that decision as to what it is that you truly want long term. What is it that you're seeking? What is it that you're desiring? What is it that you want in the end result? The other thing you have to think about too is, do you want to be there when somebody is going through the separation or the divorce? Or is, if let's say you decide, okay, well, I want to be with this person long term. Okay, are you willing to be there as they're going through the emotional shitstorm?
And
Right.
financial.
And right, exactly. Because right now they might be, worth a lot of money, right? Maybe they have a couple homes, maybe they got a good bank account. Are they going to be in that same position afterwards? So you got to ask yourself, what is it that do I really love this person? Or am I loving the fact of the position and
The
stability that they're in at the
pedigree.
moment, right? The pedigree that they're in at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So, because that's not going to be the same. That's not going to be the same. The other thing is too, is that chances are there's probably going to be, I mean, it does happen, but it depends again on their position, or it depends on who they are as a person. But, I always say, if you've left a relationship, you need to figure shit out on your own. I mean, these people that are jumping from one thing to the next, I mean, for me, that's complete crap. Like, get your shit together, dude, because it's not, if you've just left one relationship, I always get a kick, on Facebook or whatever, because I'll see people that will post, divorced, right? Or finally got rid of the bitch, finally got rid of the asshole, and I sometimes I've sit there and I've actually counted down, and I've been like 10, 9, 8, 7. Yep, there they are, dropping into my inbox. But it's not just my inbox, it's the same fucking message to probably all of their friends on their Facebook, seeing who's gonna, catch that wave, right? And I just get such a laugh out of it, because they'll be like, hey there, how you doing? Because they just posted that they're divorced, or they just posted that they're separated. And I always get such a laugh out of that. But you just know that a week later or 2 weeks later, a month later, they're going to be posting in a long-term committed relationship with my honey bunny of, I just met the love of my life. Okay. I'll just wait another week and see what your status has to say after that. You know what I mean? Because that's exactly what it is. So you have to be in that place of what is it that you're truly wanting out of this relationship. And I think that that's going to make a huge difference when it comes to not only this man, but maybe perhaps the next person, if there is one. You know what I mean? If you decide that you're not going to take this person. I hope that that makes sense. So, but I do get the caution with him, and it's going to be really, really important for you to get all of the information and do not let him brush anything underneath a carpet. So I hope that's helped, Renata. Hope that gave you some clarity. Okay, guys. So to contact Ambika, you can contact her. I actually had all the information up here. What is the best way to contact you? I'm going to let you say it.
The best way to contact me is right through my website, which is myname.com, ambikadevi.com, ambikadevi.com. And all my current links, recordings, even tonight's live stream are on my link tree, and that's linktr.ee/Ambika Devi, AMBIKADEVI. That's my one link everywhere on all my social media. If you're looking for me directly on Facebook or Instagram right now, it's my name plus 1008. It is a pretty common name in some parts of the world. So it's ambikadevi.com for my website, or 1008 for Instagram and Facebook if you're looking for me there.
It's funny, actually. I was so when I went to Instagram today, there was a lot of your name popping up. I was like,
oh yeah. Well, it's like Ambika Devi is the Devi Mahatmya. So she's got her own following, and she's got she's an aspect of the great mother goddess. She would be also, she's Shiva, if you're familiar with the if you're familiar with Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. They all have feminine, they are also masculine and feminine at the same time. So there are different ways to name these mythological beings, or gods and goddesses, however you want to look at them. I was named Ambika Devi. I was given the name, and I guess I've had it for so long, I got the .com. So I've even thought about what will I do with the .com, after I leave this body. Like I want to leave it to a temple that is, for Ambika Devi. But she is Mother Nature. She gave birth to the three gunas, the aspects of nature. And out of her third eye came Kali. You might know who Kali is.
Yeah.
So Kali is her third eye.
Okay.
Yes. It's a really cool story, the Devi Mahatmya. I was given the name at Shivananda Ashram and kind of stuck. So it's my pen name. You can find my books on Amazon under my name, but everything's at my website.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got courses. I just made an intro to astrology video that I've got. My web team is moving my astrological website over to my main website. So we're building out ambikadevi.com. My courses will be there. There's free stuff. And when you go and visit my site, everybody sign up for my mailing list, because my mailing list community gets a free night with me once a month. And we watch a movie and talk about it. And tomorrow is free movie night. So if I see it come in tonight, I'll get it to you, or message me on Facebook, Messenger, or Instagram, and I'll get you the link. Because tomorrow night, I got the permission to show a documentary film that a dear friend of mine was involved in making called Inhabitants, and
Okay.
he's from the Hopi tribe, and it is about the work that he does, and also climate change in general. But he is a researcher and speaker about indigenous agricultural practices that are actually better for our earth. And he'll be there tomorrow night after we watch the documentary for a question and answer. And this is totally free. So these nights once a month are totally free. You can message me through my website. And there's also a lot of perks of being on my mailing list. And I only send you one a month. So you got to catch them, but don't worry if you sign up late, like for July and it's already mid-month almost. I will get you the link for tomorrow night if you want to join us for viewing Inhabitants and meeting Kotutwa of the Hopi tribe and hearing about his work in agriculture and his feelings about climate change.
Awesome. Awesome. And guys, if you do want a reading with me, you can book me at oracleintuitions.com. You can follow me on oracle_intuitions on Instagram. And I just want to say thank you so much. So for being here.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it again, maybe. I would love
I
to.
hope we can.
It was
Yeah,
great to meet some of your community, and thank you for
Mhm.
being brave and allowing us to, give you such sensitive information on the airwaves like this. We appreciate you being here. Remember, you can find us on Purple Ocean and Purple Garden, and I've got my 24-hour option open, meaning
Yes,
I won't be answering until tomorrow, but this gives you a ridiculous discount to get some questions answered by me in a video. So I look forward to seeing you there as well. Or, hey, sign up for an astrological consultation with me at my website. Why not just dive in? You can take care of that right on my website.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing night. Take care and many blessings, guys. We'll see you next week. Whoops.